Hello, my name is Paridhi Jain and you're watching Off the Record. And we have a show on wildlife trafficking today. Over the years in India, illegal wildlife trade has become an organized crime and has threatened the existence of several wildlife species. In India, the trade happens of several species of elephant tusks, tiger skin, leopard claws, and musk pot, and even medicinal plants as well. So today at our show, we will discuss what is the issue and what are the solutions for this problem and what future holds for these species. Today at our show, we have three esteemed panelists. Here we have Miss Aishwarya. Aishwarya KS has been working as a biologist at Banarghatta Biological Park for the past 4.5 years. Aishwarya KS completed her post-graduation in animal behavior from Anglia Ruskin's University in the UK. She conducts observations of the zoo animals and provides species-specific enrichment to give the animals an opportunity to express their natural behavior in a zoo. Second guest is Josh Lewis. Josh Lewis is a Deputy Director at Wildlife Trust of India and also the head of Wildlife Crime Control Division there. He has more than 20 years of experience in wildlife conservation, especially dealing with illegal wildlife crime across the country and outside. He is specialized in wildlife crime prevention and capacity building of enforcement of officials. Dr. Vikramaditya currently works as a principal scientist at the Center for Wildlife Studies, Bangalore. He has worked on ecological research and conservation projects across India for the past 15 years. His current interests are in studying the hunting practices and wildlife trade across the Eastern Ghats. So I welcome all three of you here. So we'll start the session first with Dr. Vikram. So sir, we want to find out why is this wildlife trafficking happening in India?
So Paridhi, wildlife trafficking is actually only a small portion of the total animals that are hunted. I feel that hunting is a much larger issue than wildlife trafficking. Hunting happens for a variety of reasons. Large percentage of hunting in India happens for actually subsistence hunting. People hunt animals to consume and also as a sport because it's a sport for them, especially among some tribal communities across central India and the Eastern Ghats. So that is the reason that hunting happens for sport and for meat. And also a certain proportion of hunting also happens for because of beliefs in certain kinds of properties that wildlife have. So certain communities believe that wildlife can wildlife or wildlife products can cure them of some ailments or some diseases, or that it can improve their potency. So these kinds of things, especially black magic. A lot of communities across India believe in black magic, and they believe that consuming wildlife products, parts of animals, can help them fight against black magic, or it can act as a defense against black magic. So a portion of this also goes into wildlife trade and trafficking.
We'll move to Josh, sir, now.
One species I will talk about is the star tortoise. Even though Karnataka is not a major habitat of the star tortoise, except few isolated places, star tortoises do come from Andhra Pradesh. But unfortunately, Karnataka, especially certain areas like Chikballapur, are traditional sources of this trade, where people who are involved in this trade for a long time operate from these areas. So Bangalore always had a history of pet markets, and there are some of the well-established pet markets operates within Bangalore city. But the good thing is that there is a lot of crackdown happened in the recent past, and a large number of such operators stop this trade. But as wildlife trade is a ever evolving thing, there are other things which people trade in. So things like ivory, things like animal skins like tiger skin or leopard skin. So all these things find always buyers and sellers and middlemen in states like Karnataka, where there is abundance of this animal in the wild.
Now we move to Aishwarya KS.
Basically, we do receive a lot of exotic animals in these seized animals from the airports. There's no specific species which we receive from them. This includes a wide variety of species from birds, reptiles, mammals, and even fishes at times. The most common one which we receive is exotic macaws or parakeets, which is part of the illegal pet trade. we house them in off exhibit area where they can be given a normal diet, also a proper place to breathe in. So with all the stress and the respiratory problems, some of them will also die when they come to a rescue or rehabilitation center.
What is the rescue percentage? Like how many of, an estimate, like how many survive and how many die?
That purely depends on species to species and what age group the animals have been shifted also. If it comes to star tortoises, at least 20 to 30% of them will die, if not immediately, but at least within a course of 1 week to 15 days.
Are there any laws to prohibit illegal wildlife trafficking in India or outside? And if there is any punishment?
Paridi, so the all-encompassing law that regulates wildlife protection and wildlife trade in India is the Indian Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. So that clearly makes hunting and trade of wildlife, it makes it clearly illegal. It's a punishable offense. It's a criminal offense under the Indian Wildlife Protection Act. So there are certain schedules in the Wildlife Protection Act. I think there are 6 schedules. So animals that are included under the schedule 1, 2, 3 and 4, all the animals that are listed under these schedules, all of them are protected by law, by the Indian Wildlife Protection Act. I'm not sure of the exact jail term and the punishment that can be levied under this act, but this is a criminal offense under the Indian Wildlife Protection Act.
Who seizes the consignments and after that what happens?
Various agencies have the authority to seize wildlife products. Most of our enforcement agencies are supposed to look out for illegal wildlife products, and any agency like your police department, forest department, wildlife crime control bureau, they can seize and they can arrest the people. But then there are border patrolling agencies like BSF, occasionally Army, Assam Rifles. So all these people also come across with illegal wildlife products. They detain the suspect along with the wildlife products, and they hand over the products and the suspects to the authorities who are empowered to register the case and investigate the matter. So any live animal which is recovered during an operation will definitely undergo rehabilitation or release back into wild. That is a policy of the country. Unless and until it is severely injured or not fit for releasing in the wild, they should go back to wild. That's a policy of the ministry. And exotic animals definitely which are not supposed to be released within the country has to be repatriated and go back to the country of origin.
So as you were saying that several of these species are dying during the transit, is there any solutions for this?
So if we change our thought of not having these wild animals as pets in India, that will solve at least half of the problem. When there's no demand, obviously the person who are gonna get all these animals will stop doing it because they won't be getting the money which they intend to get from illegal trade. So I think curbing the demand is the best solution for all these problems.
So Vikram sir, can you tell us, so Aishwarya was mentioning that several exotic species also they are receiving. So I mean this has started happening, that the exotic species are being brought to India and people love buying them. So can we do something? Is there any solution to stop this trade, and why is this happening?
Yes, so Paridi, I feel that more than the number of exotic species that are coming into India, it's our issue in India should be more about the kind of biodiversity and wildlife that we are losing because of hunting and wildlife trade that's happening from India, with Indian animals as the origin. In fact, in the light of COVID, this needs to be brought out that wild animals can carry various pathogenic viruses that can infect humans and that can spill over to humans, just like COVID did. And there's many other zoonotic pathogens that can spill over from wildlife to humans. So this message also needs to be conveyed. I think this will make a real difference in curbing wildlife trade in India.
We'll finally move to George sir. Although the authorities are doing their work, they're seizing the consignments, still the trade is happening in the rural areas. You mentioned Chikballapur as well. So now how can we fast track this process and so that the trade declines?
I think what we should look at is containing the trade completely. It may not be possible to totally eradicate the trade because of the strong demand for illegal wildlife products, as Vikramaditya was telling earlier. that there are beliefs, there are beliefs within the country, outside of the country, which drives the trade. So one thing is the demand reduction, that we should ensure that the demand is reduced through various ways and means. The other thing is strong law enforcement, that when people are caught with illegal wildlife products, the cases are registered and they are given exemplary punishments. There are problems with our conviction rates. Our conviction rates are much lower. So strong law enforcement, strong demand reduction, and strong public awareness will reduce the trade across the country, across the state, across the world.
Exotic species which are traded, do you have a solution for our viewers? Like, how can we stop this?
I would say that education is the most important thing. Everywhere, rural communities, urban communities, everywhere there's a belief that wildlife can do something and then can help people deal with their problems. I think this message needs to be taken very clearly, that wildlife does not have anything that can help people with their issues.
Do you suggest any solutions that the rescue rehabilitation process also happens smoothly, and probably the survival is also very high? Is there any solutions?
Most of the animals are seized from the airport. Probably they have to create a facility somewhere near the airport where the animals can be immediately housed, and probably a veterinarian to look after them immediately there, rather than shifting the animals from there to some other place who can take care of them. And when one institution is keep on burdening with more and more animals, with limited staff, it will be difficult even for that institution to take care of every single animal which they receive. So probably setting up more such places where they can house these exotic illegal animals being imported, and the places where they can be treated properly and probably rehabilitated and released back will also help us, because more people should be educated and more people should be trained to handle these animals and try to reduce the stress and also try to save the species life as well.
It's time to wrap up our show. As we discussed with the panelists, this problem is really serious, but we do have solutions for this. Strong vigilance, law enforcement, and awareness of local communities and people in the urban areas is really essential. And also more and more rescue centers need to be established in the city. This is Paridhi Jain and you're watching Off the Record.